get the best ones and just choosing at random? Well, should we set a time limit then? If we wrap it up in another 15 minutes as a board and then set a time limit of 10? Huh? We're back to order now. Any further comments from the board? Any questions? Bob, is your Rick? Okay.
The only thing, I've been listening to the conversations about the number of people that the banquet room needs to be able to handle there. And I think we need to take a very, very serious look at that. How often do we have banquets of 140 people? And when we do, what time of year are they? Because if it's in the summertime, it's a heck of a lot easier to have part of it outdoors and part of it indoors, and trying to, build these fully conditioned spaces to handle, a very few large quantities of people. So, yeah, I mean, some of these seems to have, or several people seem to have in mind that we need to be able to have a banquet of 140 or 144 people or something like that. I'm not sure that the history and the numbers support that need. So that's something I think the board needs to keep a very open mind. The fact that we need it before we start to do it.
I don't know, Bill, if you have any of those, you probably don't have that stuff with you, but we did have statistics on that. I don't know if you recall any of that information.
Well, actually, I do. Remember, we're building a building for 50 years here, and so we have to anticipate what might happen over that time period. And that's why we're trying to build flexibility. Well, I can tell you what it is right now because we've analyzed very carefully all of our events over the last 4 years. And we have events that are larger than 100 people. We have about 12 a year. So the other piece of information is of those dozen a year, which of course is once a month, probably 2/3 of them are not hit by breaking news.
Okay, thank you. Anything else from the board? Bob?
Yeah, just to go along with that, and I remember that number that Bill just read, but, and I don't think we have this number because I don't know how they would, how many people, either residents or non-residents, have looked and then decided either the facilities weren't adequate enough or weren't appropriate for that kind of banquet. And I think if we have that facility, I think we would be increasing the number of banquets, and also which would increase income, which would increase usage for the facility. But it's, there's a lot of what ifs, and we can what if this thing till who knows when.
Okay, Mike?
I think we need to make an overt decision about whether we want to be in the banquet business and the large-scale restaurant business or not. I also would like to ask whether serious design consideration for the Hartman building, whether serious design consideration has been given to a building to which a large tent can be appended for these large occasions that we talk about when it's needed. And those are my comments.
That is brilliant.
Jerry, you have
A tent facility, if it was necessary, could be located on this event lawn right here. I can't tell you what it costs to get a tent that big, but as far as a location, that would be a spot of the house.
Anybody else?
We're going to attempt now to answer the questions. There are quite a few of them. Mr. Chapman's going to review them. What I'd like to do, these guys have to go home too, is, I don't know how long it'll take, but I don't want to be here all night. I'm sure nobody else does. So maybe we could cut the questions at 10 o'clock, which gives us over an hour and 20 minutes.
We have an impossible situation here because we have way more questions than we have time for. We also had a number of comments that were not questions, asking specific ideas. They just were someone saying, I think we ought to do X, Y, or Z. Those are very easily accumulated. We always capture all those comments. They go to the board. So obviously I don't need to read all those tonight. I probably have 60 or 70 right here. So this is not going to work. Carolyn made a comment last time that every time we schedule one of these meetings, people fill up the time and then some with comments and questions. And some of these were resolved in earlier meetings, not resolved but answered. So we get new people. So you get this churn of people and you start getting the same comments. So I'm going to quickly go through the ones that I can answer. If the upstairs community center is closed off, where would meetings such as this be held? The concept is they would be held at the Hardman facility. What would be the options for larger clubs for these events? They would use the meeting rooms at the Hardman facility. What would the tear-down cost be for the existing community center? The numbers you saw tonight included a tear-down cost of $75,000, which is the number the contractors came up with for the Hardman facility. Someone also asked about that. All those numbers are in there. What about cost overrides? We have about 26% numbers above the direct cost of building the buildings or remodeling the buildings built into the numbers you saw tonight. Contingencies and all that is already in the numbers. How quickly can you do it? This was asked last time. Greg answered 12 to 15 months. What is our protection against cost overruns? I'm sorry, I got that one out of sequence. What's the total indoor dining capacity? We were just discussing that issue. Do we lose anything if we do this all? For example, trees, And Terry and Greg have been very, very careful to try to position things where no major trees would come out. Electric golf cart stations that was discussed earlier. We still have to deal with the issue of the member carts. Will they have provisions for fuel? All of the association-owned carts will be changed to electricity the next time we upgrade the fleet. Why is there a survey available on the website for the community center and none for the Hardman facility? That facility actually came from a committee, Commons Committee, which had a subcommittee that was looking at potential uses for this building. Why isn't there a renovation of the Hardman facility an option? The board selected this at some time back. One of the reasons is the existing building is too small at 8,000 square feet. The second one is that it's chopped up and has structural issues. It would make it very difficult to create spaces that work for the functions that are being contemplated. Thirdly, it's in a location where it'd be very difficult to bring the parking lot up to code from a size standpoint. Thirdly, there's a lot of problems with the site that if you move the building, those problems could be addressed. So that was the thinking of the board on that. I didn't answer the question fully, but that's where what we did there. Solar heating for the pool, that was already discussed tonight. That is included. The hot water heating is, the photovoltaics probably not in some of those cost numbers, but the optional numbers have all been calculated so we can look at those. Concern about the impact. We had 2 or 3 people that made the same comment, and it has to do with, remember I had that range of borrowing $3 to $5 million. And at the $5 million point, I made that within our existing budgets, with the money we're already setting aside for capital improvements, we wouldn't have extra money left over for other things. And people expressed concern about that. They would like to do other things, and so they're suggesting that we not go to that top option. Confusion about the special assessments. Some people thought that the $120 number I said and the $300 number I said could be added together. And I'm trying to make it clear here. $120 is the maximum the board can levy without a vote of the members. Anything above that, the members have to levy. The 300 number was just trying to show you how much money a special assessment would have to be to raise $1 million. So that's all that is. The other question was, would it be the same for improved and unimproved properties? The board hasn't even discussed that yet. Can you ensure us that our HOA fees will not go up? No. Can we have a letter stating that fact? Remember, we're talking about a loan for 10 years. All I'm saying is that under our current funding, in the last 4 years, we've been able to set aside $1 million with no assessment increases. And I'm saying that the borrowing and debt service in and of itself does not generate assessment increases. That doesn't mean that other budget increases will not generate assessment increases over 10 years. No one can promise that. However, the board's been very careful with your money and had only that 2% increase in 6 years. So they have been prudent. Do you have numbers showing the use by members of the Hartman and the Community Center? In fact, we do. That's going to be in the business plans that you'll see. I did go through those briefly. Roughly, this building gets about 20,000 uses a year. The Hartman facility gets about 3.5 to 4 times more than that, around a range of 80 to 90,000 people. That buys golf rounds, yeah. What's the maximum amount assessment can be increased per year? Isn't it 20%? That is correct, by both our CCNRs and the statutes. We had one person that wrote in saying that, in fact, that was the plan, to raise the assessment 20% per year over the next 10 years. It's not the plan. What were the factors used to determine it costs $20,000 more to save rather than build? Please reread my material. What I used there was a very conservative 2.4% per annum increase in construction costs. They've been much higher than that historically. And what that says is that if you wait 6 or 7 years to save your money, your $6 million building is going to cost $6.9 million. If you borrow the money, your interest is going to cost $700,000. So you got 900 versus 700. That's where the 200 came from. How often can the 306 be levied? Well, the 306 can't be levied unless you vote for it. But I think what they meant is how often can the board levy a special assessment, again, maximized at $120, and they can do that annually. And we have had special assessments 4 times in this community. Okay. Questions about finances related to golf and food and beverage. Again, we're going to look at those business plans on the 17th. Another one. Someone suggested we have showers for tennis players and golfers. Why can't the Hartman Golf Complex be built in phases like the community center? Well, it can. If the board chooses, they could instruct our architects to look at that a possibility. This one, Terry and Greg, I'm not quite sure if you could get to the Hartman building slide. Okay, the question is, where are the actual exterior walls at the bar area of the Hartman facility? So I think the issue is about that inside-outside. So maybe you could address that?
Because of our weather we have here in California, there's a little trick that we've done on a couple of golf clubhouses, but basically what we have here, this bar, actually it's sunken in, so all the seats here at the bar would be like what you'd sit at if you were sitting at a dining table. They're not high stools, which allows for all these other people in the bar area to be able to see the pond and the view. But to answer the question specifically, what we've done is on the bar top, right here, there's a sliding glass, segmented glass top door that would slide across into a pocket. And that would allow the bar seating on this side to occur. So it becomes a indoor-outdoor experience where we would anticipate probably building the roof over that area. So in case it's a warm day, it's drizzly rain or something, we can still do that kind of concept by opening that bar up.
Thank you, Terry. Again, questions about banquets, weddings, et cetera, how often? I think I answered current conditions on that. Of course, the business plan will do some projections relative to that. And then how much money does it generate? What does it cost? We actually have done those numbers in the business plan. So come back on the 17th. Is the roof being designed to incorporate solar? Not indicating which roof. So I'm not sure. We did talk about solar at the last meeting fairly extensively because there were probably a half dozen people that suggested that. Terry and Greg have great experience with solar. I think you mentioned that the gymnasium roof would certainly support a fairly large solar array. Are there other places where we could do solar in either of these two buildings?
Usually the process that we go through is do an analysis based on energy, your rates. That would be offset. Is there any incentives by your local utility companies? And then put together an estimate if the building wants to go down the path of LEED certified. We have the ability in our office to do that kind of thing. Those are details that will have to be determined as we go through the design process. But as a minimum, we usually design energy efficient buildings to meet a minimum LEED silver standard. Usually we can do that at no extra cost. But when you get into photovoltaics, it adds a different element to it. And that study would have to occur based on, like I said earlier, your utility rates versus the cost. Yeah, LEED is Greg is actually LEED certified. I'm not. I've done enough design with solar and sustainable architecture, but it's a certification process that's put on by the U.S. GPC, with U.S. Green Building Council, and they have a certification program that is they have a silver, gold, and a platinum level, which is the highest level based on the number of sustainable devices you use, not just energy-saving devices, but off-gassing of products and recycled material content. And that's a process that we can go through to help save energy costs if that's a desire of the community, to help offset your needs for additional energy, actually.
Great, thank you. Here's another question for you guys. Has to do with, would it be possible to have vending services at that restroom snack bar versus staffed services there?
Vending would be great. I don't know if it depends on what kind of food your golfers like to see or your tennis players like to see at the turn. And if it's just general snacks, that's about what you can get out of a vending machine. But if it's talking about hot food, maybe you can get cold sandwiches out of them. I don't know. It's something that's worth discussion. Could save a staff person.
Another question for Terry and Greg. Are renovation costs more expensive than replacement costs, generally speaking?
It seems like Greg and I have looked at each other many times when we got done with renovating buildings and said, man, we should have just torn the thing down and started from scratch. And, it's a difficult question. I think some of the biggest things that you should look at is would a more efficiently built building for a recreational facility at 6,000 feet at 1 story operate better for you than renovating an existing building like this. It's 2-story where we're trying to make the uses work, adding an elevator because it is 2-story. Those are the things that drive the cost up here versus, and then this building is not energy efficient. Its operational costs are higher than if you had a 6,000 foot more energy efficient building. The insulation costs, drywall, the improvements that you'll need to do on the exterior, some of the waterproofing issues need to be addressed. And so I think in the end, on our cost analysis, it seemed like this 6,000 square foot building was better. But as far as the cost per square foot, I believe the cost per square foot's more for the 6,000 square foot building, new building, right? Was it more? Yeah, right. So usually we see a lot of these buildings get built around $300 a square foot. That's what we're seeing. It's a good number to work with.
Okay, a couple more. And I have a lot of really great comments here that I'm not going to read out because we can give you a written version of that, put it on the website. This person wasn't at the early meeting when we explained this process, so maybe some of the rest of you aren't. How were the consultants chosen? Were there 3 bids? We actually had a request for qualifications, went out to 6 architectural firms that have experience in these kinds of facilities. 5 of them responded. They all came and looked at the facilities. They submitted proposals. The board selected these gentlemen. That's how we did it. Is there a proposed use on the north end of the current driving range? I think that was the area we were talking about possibly locating the cart storage barn. But the north end of the current, I'm sorry, they're talking about that area, I believe, from the oak tree over to the private homes. I don't know if that person's still here, but I believe, because they said north end of the existing driving range, which it's not really north, but I think that's what they meant. We haven't really talked about that much.
Greg and I actually talked about it today a little bit because there is enough area there. It's just logistically with a fence and trying to see how a fence could protect the distance between here and the where you'd want to stage your carts from an operational standpoint is a bit far. And I would suspect that having something right here with all the cart staging and have all that critical mass with carts being used also for the driving range, it seems like it does make a lot of sense to build it in this location.
Okay, if there is a recreational facility, could it include a roof top deck with chairs and umbrellas to overlook the lake and the views?
As Greg says, given an adequate budget, we can do anything you want. But definitely would require an elevator on that one.
Yeah, you have your accessibility problem once you go to 2 stories. So it would be at least $120K for an elevator, but might be an expensive glass of wine to sit on that deck. I think you answered it fine. Now, this one, we had about three or more comments on this, having to do about, are we thinking about demographic changes and projections relative to the next 50 years? And is that informing some of the decisions we're making? And as far as I know, we haven't done anything along those lines. Like I said, 2 or 3 people that did that. We had a lot of people that asked specific financial questions that relate to the business plan. Which you're going to see on the 17th, so I'm going to hold those off. We also had a lot of people ask questions relative to member surveys. Will the members have some sort of a process whereby they can choose which options seems to work best for them? Again, that's a question to the board. The board's going to have to, at some point, respond to that. Do you want to do that tonight, or do you want to do that on the 17th? Okay, so at 17th, we'll put that on their list. The other thing is we had, let's see, last time we had questions we didn't get to. Quite a few of financial feasibility that have been answered tonight. This resort issue and banquets, there was a question asked about Have we looked at competitive issues related to that? Remember in 2011, we actually did a survey of all the banquet venues in Lake County. And in South County, there were 14 venues with an average accommodation of 150. Now, they're not all of the same quality, but there are a number of places. When we do the business plan, we're going to have to make some kind of assumptions of how much of that kind of business could we expect if we had a facility that could accommodate it. And I can tell you from my own personal experience, weddings are a very good way to make money. The Sun River Resort had a very profitable wedding business, and they drew people from Portland, Eugene, Salem, all over the state of Oregon and the state of Washington. But guess what? It was a resort. And they had housing for all those people, which is something we do not have, excepting maybe the casino. So, you know, those are the kinds of things you have to think about. Would someone really drive up here to have a wedding from outside of the county on a day trip without overnight accommodation? You know, we got to think about those things. So we also have to look at the profit margins and what that would do for us. So we are going to be wrestling with those issues. They're not easy to come up with answers. They're not easy at all. There's a bit of build it and it will come in both of these plans. I know a lot of people believe that if we just made this nicer, that somehow it's going to get a lot more use. A lot of people believe if we have a room that will accommodate 150 people, that somehow it's going to get a lot of use. And so just get hard-headed and hard-nosed about these questions, because it's a lot of money that we're talking about here. So, you know, staff's going to try to crunch the numbers. Wayne's got great experience in golf facilities that have had these kind of banquets. We talk to other people, but you know what? We're in a unique situation here because we don't have that population base to draw from. When you look at how many people live within 50 miles of us, it's not a big number. So we got to think careful through. The board is wrestling with this question too, and they have been for a few years now. They don't take this lightly. I think I'm about done. We've already dealt with a couple of issues that came up last time. Would we consider other options? One story. Is this me? Is that one of you guys? So we're ready for microphones. Where's our microphones?
Okay, we have one more board question.
Got one over here. Oh. Mike.
Yeah. Since all of the discussion. Hello? Okay. Since all of the discussion so far has focused on the Hartman building, I'd like to ask a couple of questions about the plans for this building. Personally, I have to think quite a bit about the demolish option. It doesn't come up in my mind as a first choice. But regarding this phased redevelopment of the community center building, since one of the biggest issues is the state of the restrooms that are used for the pool, I'm wondering how that is going to. Wondering how the rebuild, in general, how is the rebuilding of the lower level only going to impact the operation of the pool during whatever season it is operated, and how is it going to impact the upper floor of the building, which can be used, which can be used right now, and maybe either available or unavailable during a construction project on the lower level. I would also like to point out that in connection with building usage, the activities that are allowed that are the availability of the building for use. There's been a lot of comment about the about the restricted use of this build, about the limited use of this building. There's been a lot of comment about how nobody uses it because the doors are always locked. There's more than just building it involved in getting people to come. That's my comment.
Okay, let's pass the microphones out and get started with audience comments.
There you go.
Hi, my name, can anybody hear me? No. Right to me. How's that? Everybody hear me now? I'll talk louder. My name is Vic Rubel. I work for the association teaching tennis. I urge the board not just to base their decisions on putting off those extra 2 courts on somebody driving by. The courts are used morning, noon, and night. They are used a lot by high schoolers, all from Hidden Valley. It's not part of a high school program. They are playing there. We have people playing, as said before, Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning. However, we can't play normal tennis Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We have too many people. Okay? So it's people sitting out. We had the other day, last time I played was Wednesday, yesterday. There were 12 people there, for God's sakes. Holds 8 people for the 2 courts. So, to be succinct, please rethink your plans about when to build those tennis courts. They're needed now.
Everyone, okay. My name is Steve Greenberg, and I was asked by both Bill Chapman and my colleagues at HVLUnited.org to make just a few comments on behalf of the organization. First of all, we'd like to thank Bill Chapman for his splendid job in presenting the numbers, and the board for permission to just make a few. Sorry, I'll speak louder. Is that better?
Good.
So, HVL United is a community organization that's really intended to make our community a better place. That's all we are. We do send out these e-blasts from time to time. If you don't receive them and would like to get them, just Google HVL United and you will be able to click on our website and be able to receive them. We perceive ourselves really as a bridge between the community and the board and HVLA. We're here to help the board and Bill Chapman and HVLA to go forward with the community center and the Hartman facility, which we as an organization support. Something has to be done. The only question is what is to be done and how. Towards that end, we do believe that a survey, a structured survey conducted in a scientific way should be done of the entire community. After all, members of the board, you are elected representatives, and we believe that you really it's in your best interest to know what the board, what the community believes should be done as part of that, and we're willing to work with HVLA. In fact, I was just talking to Bill Chapman a few minutes ago about how this could be done in a way that would actually help you. It would actually make things much easier for you. So we look forward to working with you to go forward on this important project. And we also welcome your communication with the community. We're delighted that finally you're talking tonight, and we encourage you to keep talking to us as a community in the forums and workshops in the future. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Joy Byram. And Bill, I know that someone touched on this concern earlier, but I'm going to be a little more specific about my concern. I'm a member of or a supporting member of the Lake Committee, so I'm speaking for myself and representing the Lake Committee. But my concern is about what will be left in the capital improvement fund.
You should be facing that way.
Yes, you're right, thank you. What will be left? What will be left in the capital improvement funds to meet the needs of the other amenities in the community? The Lake Committee asked for some of these capital improvement funds when we were talking about the 2012 budget requests. We were told at that time that a decision would be made this year. I think I bring it up at every meeting, but then I've been told by Bill that it will be decided in the fall. Again, my concern is after you are using most of the capital improvement funds for these projects, again, are you going to have the money to meet the needs of the other amenities? And I'm specifically talking about the lake. We need funds, and if you had a question about, well, why aren't reserve funds covering the lake? They cover the things like the marina and equipment maybe around the lake, but they do not cover the lake and the water. And again, specifically, I'm talking about the sediment buildup in the lake. We need funds put aside every year to deal with this problem. And the estimates that you've given us on funds that could be left, that is not enough to meet our needs. So please keep this in mind. Thank you.
My first time coming to one of these meetings, but I don't play golf, and I think there's a lot of other people that don't play golf, and I'm wondering why people that don't play golf have to support all the golfers with these projects, because it seems like it's very expensive to do the Hartman project and to make all these improvements when there's so many other things that I think we could be doing that might be creative use of the funds, like you were just saying about the lake, and maybe hiking trails, which we don't really have, and gardens. And I just think we should look at other possibilities of the use of the funds. And maybe this is a whole room of golfers, so you don't like hearing this. But I think there's a lot of people here I was attracted here, my wife and I, for the lake, primarily, and the beauty of nature, and not for the golfing. And this seems, to me, it's disturbing that this seems to be just going to happen no matter what. I'm wondering if it's possible for the golf facility to be supported by greens fees and memberships rather than by people who never go there and weren't drawn here for that reason. That we should have a survey, I think, to find out what people really want of everyone. That's what I'm feeling. So thank you.
Good evening. My name's Rochelle Wood, and I'm here representing the families and young people. I have recently put in my application to be on the board for next year because I want to represent the young people of this community. I moved here 4 years ago, and not for fancy golf or eating facilities, not even for a nice pool. I moved here for the security of my family and for us to live in a small, tight community. And so as long as that stays, that's all that matters to me. Yes, I would like to see some more family things happen here, but for the most part, I'm not here for anything fancy and for my dues to go up, or for, I'm sure, any young families, they don't want their dues or any other, have to pay these special assessments to make these facilities what they are. So just take that into consideration when you guys are choosing. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jennifer. I moved here 10 years ago because my parents moved here, and it's in a very, very beautiful community. But I'm still saying things that like the roads that our children are dropped off by a school bus, and cars are going around them. The parks that our kids go and play to, there's no bathrooms, there's porta potties. My daughter would rather go in her pants than use that. So I'm wondering if there's other will there be plans to continue to work with the amenities that we have, like the parks and other things too? Are we going to have money left to keep those up? Thank you.
Make sure, I'm Sandy, that's my daughter and I'm real proud of her. One of the things I'd like to make sure that we all really consider is this is a horribly awesome job they have to do to try to project out 50 years, and every one of us is going to have a different thing we want to do, and I want to make sure that they realize they need to consider all of that. Like she says, we have no shoulders on our roads. My street hasn't been slurry sealed in the 11 years I've lived here, and we have a bunch of places where they've put new houses in, and they've dug into the road to put their sewer stuff in. So, you know, we've got other things that need work is what I'm saying. And another thing I want you to remember is that when this was built and the Hartman facility was built, the people that lived here were all over 55. And there was no place else hardly to go until at least Middletown. Now we have Chic-Le Chef Carryout, we have Subway, we have other restaurants trying to make a go of it. Twin Pines has some facilities, so I don't think we have a responsibility to care for all of South County and put the air conditioning and heating bills on our younger residents, because 25 years from now, instead of being 27% under the age of 18, 27% under the age of 18, we'll be needing to do more things for the children. So I'm just asking you to bear in mind that there's a whole lot to consider here besides these two buildings, like recreation and health for the rest of us.
My turn. Okay. I represent some slightly older, younger residents. My name's Dan Flynn. I moved here in 2001 to have a place to raise my family. I got to be honest with you, not one little bit of the decision to move here had anything to do with this building I'm standing in for only the 4th time in 11 years, or the structure down there. Quite honestly, I have eaten at the Greenview in whatever iteration it was. I have yet to have a decent meal there. We need to be out of the restaurant business, period. I do not believe that we necessarily need a building of that size. I don't think we need a 144 seating capacity convention center. Call it whatever you want. Lop off that end of the building. Keep the bar there, because somebody out there is still making good beer. We can drink there after somebody plays a round of golf or after I go out on the lake with my family. But I don't think we need that. I think that, quite honestly, like any other diet that anyone's ever been on, you lose a little and then suddenly it balloons back to something enormous. I don't think that's necessary. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Deborah. I, at one time, was on the Parks Committee long ago when it was called the Parks Committee, and this is kind of reiterating what Jennifer said. We tried to get bathroom facilities put in at Hartman Park and Raven Hill Park, and all we were able to get at the time were porta potties. One was, and they're still there. One was a handicap one, so it was a little bit bigger because moms needed to go in to the bathrooms to help their little kids, use the restroom. I'm really frustrated when I see something as grandiose as this, yet I can't get bathrooms at these parks for my kids. And now they're old enough, they're almost to the age where they're not using the parks in the same way, but I'm speaking for all of those young toddlers out there and the babies waiting to use the parks in the future. I'm not talking about anything extravagant. I'm thinking just what Big Beach has, just what Little Beach has, just what the marina has. They're simple, they're functional, they're permanent, they're decent. I know that the campground just had a brand new beautiful bathroom and shower facility put in. That's for the public use as well as our use. So I just get a little frustrated when I see certain things that can be happening that aren't happening, that don't cost a lot of money, yet make things much more pleasant for families and anybody using the parks, anybody using the beaches. Parks are used for picnics, they're used for family gatherings. We're so lucky to have such great climate here. They're used so very much. Thank you.
Hi, is this loud enough? Okay. I moved here in 2010. I moved here for the environment, for the security, and for the dirt cheap price.
Good.
After semi-retiring from being a CPA, and a divorce, and the Marin prices on houses having taken a sudden decline, I decided that my destination was Hidden Valley, and I love it. I love my house. I love living here. It's a great place, and I would not live anywhere else in Lake County because they don't bother paving their roads, and they could swallow up a Volkswagen Beetle with their potholes. This is good. I don't play golf. I don't mind golf, but this is a little crazy to me as a CPA, and I looked at the numbers that were put together here, and I don't mean to really be rude, but it looks like a jumbled mess. It looks like a lawyer wrote. It's not presented like an accountant. It doesn't really inform. You don't read it and then you feel like you know what you've seen. But anyway, that's just advice, free. No bill coming. When you're talking about the food, it's always food and beverage. I think that's a mistake. My understanding is that the food service at the Hartman facility, at the Greenview Room, loses a great deal of money. And it is hidden by the fact that the bar is profitable. I think if we are going to sensibly use numbers, they have to tell us what we need to know. And the numbers at Hartman are telling us that we don't need to be in the restaurant business. I love this place, and I don't want to see some manic spending and acquiring debt binge go on that destroys it. There are HOAs in the country in recent years that have gone belly up because the HOA owned the golf course. A lot of golf courses have shut down. We're in a little bubble here. And, you know, we don't have that problem. But we don't want to acquire it by taking on, from a manic binge, a huge amount of debt. That's not sensible. So that's what I have to say.
Are we at 10 o'clock now?
Hi, my name is Rose Decker, and I've lived here since 1994. I'm obviously over 55. I don't play golf. I've never set a toe on the golf course. It took me a really long time to get my head around the fact that I have to pay for the golf course. I just kind of have to bite the bullet and pay for the golf course because that's the way it is. And I also want to say how very glad I am to see and to hear from some of the younger members of our community, because I concur with you on all of the issues that you've brought up. It seems fair enough to me that we should have restrooms at those parks, and we do not need to be in the restaurant business. It's never been in the black. It's always been a black hole. And I just don't see the reason to do it. I understand we need a place with decent, clean facilities to prepare a burger and fries and slaw, chili, you know, the basic things that people want in a hurry, to get a cold beer or whatever. But that's just the way I feel. So I realize we're going to have to replace the Hartman facility and that it should be something nice. But I'm wondering how big it has to be and how grandiose. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Ken Harbison. I agree with what most of you have said about restrooms and all those things that we also need at Hidden Valley Lake. I also know for a fact that I don't think there's anybody in this room that facility wasn't there whenever you bought your home here. That facility is falling down. That's why we're doing this, because it's going to cost so much to make that facility, or if we were to remodel it, for instance. It's going to, they've been through that. The board's been through that, about what it's going to cost to remodel it versus what it's going to cost to replace it. This is replacing it. And the golf course isn't going away. It was there when you guys all moved here too. We don't want to be Clear Lake. I've said that before. I mean, we have a lake. There's a lake in Clear Lake. There's no golf course in Clear Lake. And obviously I'm a golfer. And I think that if half the people that live in Hidden Valley were to use that facility, it would be profitable. I know they don't want to right now because of what's there, but that facility is the one I'm talking about.
Come on, please, no arguments. Everybody else has had their chance to speak. Let Mr. Harbison speak.
Yeah, I really do believe that. I mean, I'm talking about the restaurant there. When I say use that facility, that's what I'm saying is the restaurant. But anyway, that's my thoughts. Thank you.
Can we speak, Bill? Bill? Can I speak?
Can I make a comment real quick? Is this on?
Sure.
Is that on? Can you hear me? My name is Joan Hollywood. I'm a member of the Commons Committee, and I just want to make a comment that one of the things we address all the time in the Commons Committee is the importance of all of our amenities to the association. We all pay for all the amenities, and this community was founded on the idea that there would be opportunities for everyone who moved here and all the types of things they like to do. And so I don't like to see the golfers being maligned because they are looking to improve a facility that actually serves the whole community. The golfers have played a big role in building this community. I am not a golfer. I love the Hartman Center. I love the Green View, even when the food sucks. I really like it. And the building is falling down, and we are responsible as a community to preserve our amenities, all our amenities. This amenity, the lake, the equestrian center, which is my favorite, we are responsible for that. So So I want to see it done in a responsible way that preserves all of our amenities, not one at the expense of another, but let's not malign one against the other either.
Okay. Thank you. Hold on for a minute, Mike, people. We got two board members that want to make a comment. Bob?
Yeah, my name's Bob Komeski, and I moved here in 2004. And I did move here for the golf course, and I do play golf, and I am retired, and I play golf 5 to 6 times a week. But that doesn't mean I don't care about the other amenities. I didn't get on the board for the golf, but I am concerned about the facilities. In the 9 years that I've lived here, I have never, ever been on the lake. But I have no problem in paying my fair share for that amenity for the people who do enjoy it. I've just never been on the lake. I've had no reason to be on the lake. But that's not what I moved here for. Other people did. So what I'm trying to say is that various people, different people have moved here and live here for different reasons. Unlike the lady who said she bought here because it was dirt cheap, I fortunately or unfortunately bought when the market wasn't dirt cheap and was at the top. So, you know, I'm underwater. Oh well, and not underwater on the lake. But what I'm saying is that, you know, just like Joan just said, you know, the amenities are here for everybody. You may not use every amenity, but they're here for a reason. One thing I do want to make a comment on, and I'm a great grandpa. You know, my kids come up, my grandkids come up. We've got facilities at our house, so we never use the parks. Tonight, I've been on the board since 2011. Tonight is the first time that I ever knew that we didn't have restrooms in our parks. And that bothers me. That bothers me a lot. You know, I don't use the parks, but we should have facilities in the parks for the people who do use them. You know, so even though I don't use it, I'm still concerned about it. And I think we need to do something on the board to make sure that that's taken care of. But you know, I'm just saying that we need to take care of all our amenities. And right now it's this amenity's turn and that amenity's turn. And I agree about the lake. We have to do something about the lake, or otherwise it's going to be a field. So, you know, it's tough, but we have to, the board is challenged with these decisions. We're charged with these decisions. That's why these forums are so important, because to get the input. I wrote an article in the Views about the young people. I really thank the young people younger people for showing up and giving their views. That's really important, because they're the ones who are going to be here long after the rest of us aren't. So thank you.
Okay, Mike.
Regarding the golf course, it is a major part of this community's assets, and it certainly needs responsible care and operation going forward. At the same time, I think everybody knows that the composition of the community has changed and continues to change. I'm really happy to hear the comments from some of our younger residents, and particularly relating to. I personally am concerned about the absence of parks in both the Mountain Meadows Circle area and the Spyglass area of the community, where there are large concentrations of children and young folks, and I think there's a real need for parks there that has not been not been addressed at this point. I very much agree with what Bob just said.
I should be nice. I'm always nice. Pardon me? Okay. I just want to make a couple of comments, adding Bob's comments earlier about the golf. I heard a lot of comments tonight that people not playing golf, restaurant food is no good, the golfers here and the golfers there. What I want to say is, I mentioned it earlier in the beginning, this is a project and not for golfers and not for the Commons Committee, not for the Lake Committee, not for the horse people, it's all of us. That is something we struggled with, the board, for 6 years. It was already committed. 6 years ago, we do administration, we do this building, and we do this. And it got pushed out because we never could get together and say, okay, we need to bite in the apple, and that we have to do that. We need to do that. I moved up here because I like golf. I'm a golfer, and I like it here. I went on the lake. When my kids come up here, we go on the lake. It's wonderful. The whole area is beautiful. And then one person made the comment a while back and said we should close down the back 9 because the back 9 is a beautiful place to build hiking trails. And we can walk around there. And this is all nice. But are you willing to pay $2,000 a year to walk back there? I pay $2,000 a year with my wife because we want to play golf. But this is my decision. The other amenities, you don't have to pay for it. You can go whenever you want. You can put your boat in there. You can do your dock in the doggy pan over there. You can play baseball. There's all there for all of us. And this one here, the community, what we need to build here, maybe we don't have to build it in this grand thing there. I understand that. And I'm all for it that we want to make choices. But we have to make choices the good way because it will last a long time. And also, if we do it in phases, that everybody gets satisfied. This building gets satisfied, down there gets satisfied. But we all have to agree on one thing. We need to do something about our buildings. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sherry Johnson, and I was on the board for 3 years, and I have to tell you young folks that not once did the bathroom issue come up for the parks while I was on the board. So I'm glad you brought it up. I agree with you, but as a board member, there are many things that the board has to deal with. And if your committees don't bring things to the attention of the board, there's no way they can address it. Now, as to the facilities here, I think many of us drive home every day and we just forget about what it looks like when you drive down Hartman. Is the building that exists at Hartman what you want to be the face of Hidden Valley? I don't. I've lived with it for a long time, so have all of you. The face of the future of Hidden Valley Lake is that we take care of our amenities and we improve our property values by taking care of those amenities. Part of that is that we have to take care of Hartman and this project. And I have nothing but great admiration for staff and for the board for doing such a beautiful job in taking the time to make this presentation and do the financials so the layman can understand it. There was nothing, so the layman, me, can understand it because it has to be simplified. It's a very, very complex picture. And I think that's what the board and what staff has done. So I want to say I'm very proud of everything that you've done. And I want to say that I read this the other day and I've been sharing it with some people, and I think we all need to think about this. It was said by Dwight D. Eisenhower when he left the presidency. I'll change a few of the words. We, you and I, and our board and the members of this association must avoid the impulse to live only for today and in the past. Go forward, don't stop it, go.
I just have one small comment to make, and the fact I don't live here, I play golf here, but the gentleman over there that seems to think that he's sponsoring my golf, I wish he would pay the $2,200 a year I pay to play here at Hidden Valley. That's all.
No, this lady's next.
who's on the current, said the same way. I don't want it to be an us and them kind of thing, and that wasn't my intention when I was talking about the parks. That was only one example of what I'm afraid is going to get put by the wayside if we focus in a fiscally unresponsible way. I know that these facilities need to be updated. I understand that. I also am not a golfer, but I love living in a golf community. I love the greens. I love walking down the street, passing the greens. I really enjoy it. I just am scared of the price tag. And I just want to make sure that we do this in the most responsible, fiscally responsible way. And the money has to come first. And to have a budget, stay within the budget, and try not to go outside of that budget. And we have to determine what that budget is first. And also determine the differences between our needs and our wants.
I'd like, we have another board member that wants to make a statement, and then also from the audience questions. We're getting closer to being short on time, so I would like to ask for only new comments or questions and no repeat ones if that'll work. And unless we have time left over, then we'll go back. But I would like to have new comments. We've heard some of the old ones. Mr. Monroe?
Yes, this is an amenity that is that we're working on that benefits everybody. Anybody can go down there and use it. You can go there and eat, and I've never had a bad meal in the Greenview, so I can't complain. And I've had a lot worse meals in this county, so this is one of the better restaurants as far as I'm concerned. And this is something, you know, the tennis courts are there. We have the concerts there. There's one tomorrow night. Come on down and enjoy it. But hey, let's face it. This is primarily for golf. And that's the reality. Everybody has to accept that. So I want to ask a question, and I really don't want anybody to answer it, just to think about it. But what really makes us so sure, or is it reasonable to assume that in 25 years, it is going to be beneficial to maintain a golf course at Hidden Valley Lake? We're building a lot for the golf course. Do we really need to spend this? Are we going to be here that long?
I'm not.
Hi, I'm sorry, I get really nervous with the microphone in my hand, but I do want to say on behalf of most of the families that I know that we are really grateful for the things that you do provide for the families, such as the concerts and the upgraded shade structure at Ravenhill Park was a total plus for us, and we just look forward to more things like that. So thank you very much.
Okay. We have a new one over here, Kath. In the front row here.
I'm Kevin Harvey. I've only lived here about a year and a half. I'm not a golfer. I'm an avid swimmer, and I don't want to malign any golfers. And I bought a home in a association that has the responsibility to maintain a golf course, and I'm aware of that. It's something I'll never use. And something else, I've been doing a little research on this on my own the past week or two. Golf has been in decline for the past 13 years. And that's probably not good news for some of you. There's various reasons put forward for that, and I'm not going to go into what those might be because I just don't know what the right one might be. But you know, take that into consideration when you're making decisions for this community. Take that into consideration, please, when you're making decisions for this community, that golf has been in decline and might remain that way. So thank you all.
Right. I just think it's important to be aware that we are a community and we can create our reality. We can envision something beautiful, and that we shouldn't be trapped in a vision maybe that was 30 or 40 years ago when this was a retirement community for golfers. And we can create something perhaps looking toward the future that's really beautiful and that isn't so heavy financially. You know, golf is really expensive. I mean, putting in irrigation systems, keeping up sand traps, it's incredibly expensive. And like a lot of people, we never golf. We have to pay for all that. And I think we should be appreciated that we are paying for it, even though we never use it. But, and I understand there's many different amenities here, but golf is really expensive. And there's a certain class of people that golf, and they want everybody else to pay for their thing, in a sense. I think that's reality. I mean, in a true sense, that's what's happening. But I think we should just think what kind of a future we want to create here together, and maybe the future is beckoning something else. Maybe I just have this vision of gardens and parks and community gardens and places for us to have recreation besides golf, because there really isn't very good hiking trails and a lot of other things. So I think we should just have a survey and get everybody's input, because a lot of people don't come to these meetings, and I think we should find out what everybody wants. Thank you.
Okay. Once more, reiterate new questions or new comments from different speakers.
Hi, my name's Joan, and you don't buy a house near a airport and then get mad at the airlines making noise. So we all moved here. We knew there was a golf course. I don't want the golf course to go away. I think mainly why people are here tonight is they're afraid of their yearly assessments and not being able to eventually afford them. I think Bill did a nice job explaining this evening that that's necessarily not going to happen, correct?
Couldn't have said it better.
The restaurant is a concern, however, of mine. It has, as we all know, been a loss leader for many, many years. So I think on the 17th, the business plan for the restaurant will be discussed. And hopefully you can prove that it will be beneficial and be successful, maybe with a different outside management company coming in, etc. If it's not going to be profitable, then the gentleman over there made a good point. Make it smaller and just a bar and, nibble food for the golf course instead of a full-on restaurant that has been a loss leader. That's all.
All right, there's been an awful lot of talk about golf, and nobody mentioned about the miniature golf possibility. Can you hear me? For kids and families, and hopefully that's not going to get nixed in the process, because that would be fun for everybody. Also, regarding the bathrooms in the parks, I'm on the Commons Committee also, and that's one area that we're definitely focusing on and trying to get into the budget concepts for some of the parks that don't have bathrooms. And I'm definitely supportive of all the new young families and the new faces in this community. Also, I think for myself, not being a big golfer, I maybe go 5 times a year, but I love the greenery, and I don't know if anybody's, I've never seen an ugly golf course. It's a beautiful environment. Yeah, but you can have a nice dinner overlooking the golf course by the pond or whatever. I mean, I want to have a place to be able to go and have dinner. Not every night, but occasionally. And there's no place that's appetizing right now. But it would be nice to have a place to go with friends, to celebrate somebody's birthday, whatever. It's for all of us, not just for the golfers.
I'm Rosalie Cook. Can you hear me? I've been here since 2006, and I'm not a golfer. I like the wide open spaces. I love the lake. I walk my dogs. There's no places to really walk the dogs, but I look for them. My concern is, as I'm walking my dogs, I get to see the drug dealers. I get to see what's going on in this community, and that's what really scares me. There's crime that goes on, and there's young people lined up and haggling. I overhear the negotiations. I don't say a word. Security tells me to carry pepper spray. You know, so when you're talking about golf, and you're talking about fancy buildings and going out to dinner, I don't get to go out to dinner. I'm a widow now and I don't get to. So none of this interests me. But I am concerned about the youth that have moved into this community. And I feel that we need to focus more on the future and security, yes, but the future of this place rather than what it was originally established to be. I am retired. I do like the retired lifestyle, but the world is changing and we need to pay attention to that.
My name is Judy, and I do have a comment about golf, but I don't think it's anything that has been said before. I think it is very true that when we moved here, there was not a big blue tarp over the golf course, and they unveiled it, you know, the day you bought your house, so we all did know it. I think it's a beautiful golf course, and I think somebody who moved here in their retirement to enjoy it would be sorely disappointed if it turned into something else. However, there's a problem. And I think the board should be creative in solving this problem, but you're going to have to talk about it first. Because if you really want to save your golf course, it's on an unsustainable financial course. And every one of you know that. The expenses are rising, and I know it must be a lot to pay $2,200 and $2,000 a year for unlimited golf, but it doesn't cover expenses. We can't keep raising the rates on people, or they won't be able to afford to golf at all. It's a public course, and as homeowners, we don't have a responsibility to subsidize the public, and yet we can't do without them. So we have a problem, and the board needs to address it. And when you do, I guarantee you, you'll have your solution in that building and in everything else. We have a really good golf pro. And he can manage, I believe, the expenses more efficiently. Will we never pay anything? Will there never be no subsidy for golf? I doubt it. But I don't think that's what people object to. I think they object to the rising cost. And that is a lot of money. So I've seen the golf pro come before the board a couple of times and say, I'd like to do this to cut costs. And the board kind of goes, yeah, well, we'll talk about that next month. Don't do that anymore, please. We need to talk about this problem. I mean, last month they told me we couldn't talk about special assessments. And tonight, it was one of the options presented to you. So we need to address all of our problems as a community. And I just had one other observation. During the first part of the forum, when the board had comments about the designs, I don't think there was one comment about the community center, and that spoke volumes. So let's deal with everything, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Jim Heimbach. I've been here since 2009. My wife has been here a little longer, since 1987. Neither one of us moved here for the golf course. But on all the discussion about the golf course, I don't think it seems to me we're not comparing apples and apples. We're acting as if the golf course is just like all the rest of the amenities. It's really not, is it? I mean, look at how many acres are we talking about? The amount of assets that are associated with the golf course are far exceed any other amenity that we have here. So I don't think we should consider the golf course in the same conversation, the same class as all the rest of the amenities. There's a lot of the costs, upkeep, and everything are much higher. And I don't think we're even considering the cost of the land. I think that's a hidden cost that it's not even part of the equation. I think that we really do need to have the golf course be in its own financial world. In other words, whatever comes in, I think maybe there is a contribution that we have, but it ought to be a very small part of the overall financial picture of the golf course. It seems to me those who use the golf course should pay the vast majority of what it takes to keep up the golf course. And that's where I'm coming from. Thanks.
I do believe we're finished.
We sort of got off target there with a lot of the questions. There were more comments, et cetera, and it didn't help these guys a bit. But it was good that we did it. We heard the opinions and so forth. Anyhow, I said it was good that we had these discussions. I think we got a little off base with all the comments on what we want, what we don't like, and whether the food is good or whatever. It didn't help these guys at all with the facilities. That just makes their ride home a lot longer. So, with no further questions, our time limit is up, so we'll adjourn the workshop. Thank you all for attending. We'll see you on August 17th.